Have you ever had this strange feeling that you've lived a moment before? You're standing in line for coffee, someone laughs behind you, a song plays in the background, the sunlight hits the floor at exactly the right angle, and then your brain suddenly whispers, "Wait, I've already been here." Not just somewhere similar, this exact moment. You somehow know what's about to happen even though you obviously don't. For a few seconds, reality feels wrong. It's one of the strangest experiences your brain can create. And here's the weird part. Almost 2 out of every 3 people experience déjà vu at least once in their lives. So, is your brain predicting the future? Is time somehow repeating itself? Or is something much stranger happening inside your head? Because the real answer isn't just surprising. It completely changes how you think about memory. Imagine if right now your brain suddenly couldn't tell the difference between something happening for the first time and something you've remembered for years. Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly the puzzle. Your brain is performing millions of calculations every second just to convince you that reality makes sense. It decides what you see, what you hear, what you remember, and most importantly, whether something feels familiar. Most of the time, it gets this job perfectly right, but every once in a while, it slips for just a fraction of a second. And that tiny mistake creates one of the most mysterious feelings you've ever experienced. But this wasn't even the biggest mystery, because people have been trying to explain déjà vu for centuries. Some believed it was proof of reincarnation. Others thought it meant you were remembering dreams you'd forgotten. Some even claimed it was evidence of parallel universes briefly overlapping. Cool ideas? Absolutely. Scientific? Not really. Yet the fact that so many different cultures came up with supernatural explanations tells us something important. Déjà vu feels incredibly real. If you've experienced it, you know what I mean. Even while you're thinking, this can't be possible, another part of your brain insists, no, you've definitely lived this before. Why would your own brain argue with itself? To answer that, you first have to understand how memory actually works. And here's the part nobody talks about. Your memories aren't stored like videos on your phone. Your brain doesn't simply press play whenever you want to remember something. Instead, every experience is broken into thousands of tiny pieces. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the emotions, the location, the people around you. Different parts of your brain process all of these separately before combining them into what feels like one seamless memory. It's less like saving a movie and more like assembling a giant puzzle every single time. Now imagine one tiny piece arriving at the wrong moment. Suddenly, your brain may decide, "I've seen this before," even though you haven't. Things get even stranger. Scientists believe déjà vu often involves 2 different systems inside your brain. One system recognizes familiarity. The other recalls actual memories. Normally, they work together. If something feels familiar, your brain also knows why. You recognize your bedroom because you've slept there hundreds of times. You recognize your best friend's face because you've seen it thousands of times. Simple. But during déjà vu, these 2 systems briefly disagree. Your familiarity system suddenly screams, "I've seen this." Meanwhile, your memory system frantically searches for proof and finds absolutely nothing. It's like getting a notification on your phone only to unlock it and realize there was never a message. The feeling remains, the evidence doesn't, and your brain gets confused. The real reason may surprise you. Scientists think one possible cause is nothing more dramatic than timing. Imagine 2 cameras filming the same scene. Normally, they record together. Now imagine one camera starts recording just 1/10 of a second later. The footage is almost identical, but technically, one recording came first. Something similar may happen inside your brain. Information traveling through different neural pathways might arrive just slightly out of sync. One signal reaches your awareness, then another arrives milliseconds later. Your brain accidentally interprets the second signal as something it's already experienced. Congratulations! You just manufactured familiarity out of thin air. No time travel required. But wait, if that's true, why doesn't it happen all the time? Excellent question. Your brain is astonishingly good at correcting tiny errors. Think about blinking. You blink around 15 to 20 times every minute. That's thousands of times every day. Technically, your vision disappears every single blink, yet you never notice. Your brain edits those gaps away. It quietly fixes mistakes before you're even aware they existed. Déjà vu might be one of the rare moments when the editor misses a frame, and suddenly you notice the glitch. But what happened next was even more surprising. Researchers discovered that younger people experience déjà vu much more often than older adults. That seems backwards. Shouldn't older brains make more mistakes? Apparently not. People between roughly 15 and 25 report the highest rates. After that, the experience gradually becomes less common. Why? Scientists aren't completely sure. One idea is that younger brains are constantly building new memories and making new connections. They're exploring new places, meeting new people, learning new skills, processing enormous amounts of fresh information. More activity means more opportunities for tiny timing errors. Imagine installing new software every day. You're more likely to encounter bugs than someone who's been using the same system for years. Your brain might work in a surprisingly similar way. Here's another strange twist. Déjà vu tends to happen when you're stressed, tired, or distracted. Think about that. Exactly when your brain has the most work to do, it's also more likely to create one of its weirdest illusions. Ever walked into a hotel you've never visited, yet somehow feels unbelievably familiar? Or sat in a classroom knowing you've never been there, yet your brain insists otherwise? You're not alone. And no, it doesn't necessarily mean you visited in another life. Although, admittedly, that explanation is more dramatic. But here's something even stranger. Researchers have actually triggered déjà vu in laboratory settings, not by using magic, not by hypnotizing people, simply by carefully stimulating certain areas involved in memory. For some participants, the feeling appeared instantly. They knew it wasn't real, yet they couldn't stop feeling that it was. Think about how incredible that is. A simple electrical signal can temporarily convince your brain that the present has already happened. If that doesn't make you question reality just a little, nothing will. And here's the part that really bends your mind. Your brain doesn't actually care about truth as much as it cares about efficiency. That sounds alarming, but it's true. Every second, your senses collect far more information than you could ever consciously process. Millions of tiny details: the texture of your clothes, the pressure on your feet, the sound of distant traffic, the temperature of the air. Your brain throws away most of it, constantly. Otherwise, you'd be completely overwhelmed. Instead, it makes educated guesses. It fills in blanks. It predicts what comes next. It creates shortcuts. Usually, those shortcuts are amazingly accurate. But sometimes, one shortcut accidentally tells you this is familiar, even when it's not. It's like autocorrect confidently changing the right word into the wrong one. Fast? Yes. Perfect? Definitely not. What modern people often get wrong is believing that memory works like a flawless recording. It doesn't. Every time you remember something, you're actually rebuilding it. Imagine taking apart a Lego castle, then rebuilding it every time someone asks to see it. Eventually, tiny pieces might end up in slightly different places. Memory is far more flexible than most people realize. In fact, some scientists describe memory as being surprisingly creative. Not because it's trying to deceive you, but because reconstruction is faster than storing every tiny detail forever. And that same flexibility may be exactly why déjà vu exists. Now here's a question. Have you ever noticed that the feeling disappears almost as quickly as it arrives? 1 second, you're absolutely convinced you've experienced this moment before. The next second, it's gone. Almost like waking from a dream. Why? Because your rational brain catches up. The memory system finally says, actually, no, there's no record of this. The illusion collapses. The mystery fades. Life continues. But for those few seconds, reality itself felt uncertain. That's powerful. And maybe that's why déjà vu fascinates us so much. It reminds us that the world we experience isn't simply reality. It's reality filtered through one incredibly complicated organ weighing about 3 pounds. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you remember, everything you believe happened passes through that filter first. Most of the time, you never question it. Déjà vu is one of the rare moments when you suddenly realize your brain is doing far more behind the scenes than you ever imagined. And here's one final thought. Imagine building the most advanced computer ever created, a machine capable of recognizing thousands of faces, learning languages, creating music, feeling emotions, making decisions, and somehow producing consciousness itself. Now imagine expecting that machine to never make a tiny mistake. That would be impossible. Your brain isn't broken because you experience déjà vu. In a strange way, déjà vu may actually be evidence of just how unbelievably sophisticated your brain really is. It's the side effect of a system that's constantly comparing the present with the past, predicting the future, filtering endless information, and somehow turning all of that into the simple feeling we call now. So the next time reality suddenly feels familiar, don't worry that you've slipped into another timeline. Don't assume you've unlocked a secret memory from another life. Instead, take a second to appreciate what's really happening. For the briefest moment, you caught your brain in the middle of doing one of the most complicated jobs in the universe, and for just a fraction of a second, you saw the tiny glitch behind the illusion of perfect reality. The strange thing is, that fleeting glitch might be one of the clearest reminders that your mind isn't a passive recorder of the world. It's an active creator of the experience you call reality. And once you realize that, the next time déjà vu happens, you probably won't just wonder where you've been before. You'll wonder how many other convincing illusions your brain creates every single day without you ever noticing.